Good morning. I'm Coach Judy. Welcome to the Peace Place. Don't you just long for a time and a place where there is perfect peace to listen to the voice of the ways of wisdom and love? On this journey of life, we mostly know about listening for our minds with its habits and opinions and patterns and the source of all that. Or we listen to the agendas and strategies and intentions of others and we jump on that train. And how often do those options engage us in things which are far from peace? Rather, they increase the stress, the turmoil, the division, and the chaos of our days. We do those things so habitually and with not even understanding there are more options. Well, there is another option. We can learn to know God is love, know Him as love, engage in His rules and those rules and ways, and listen and sustain a life of peace, love, joy, and wisdom. We can learn to live throughout our days, releasing those things from our mouths. Through many decades, I searched for answers to other than the chaos and the division of life. And throughout those decades, it's even gotten more intense with the agendas that so many in the world have embraced. Excuse me. And all of those strategies of man's understanding. And though that was interesting, all of the things I studied were interesting. They did not lead me to the way of the loving, responsive, and power filled ways of God. These ways reveal and guide us on a pathway to the fulfillment of love's plan for all our lives. So each day I study and engage in God's love and ways of wisdom. God teaches us His ways are not our ways. Our choices in our ways that we live habitually through the day often result in many divisive messes that we face in the world today. I've found doesn't have to remain that way. We can each learn how to hear, connect, abide, and commune with the voice and the heart of God love. The prayoms, the writings that I've done, the prayoms I know sounds like an unusual name, but over my search and my hunger to know if God was real, the God of peace, the God of love, I started hearing from deep in my heart these prayers which were rhyming and, to be honest, absolutely amazed me and continue to amaze me. There's over 1,000 of these stories that I've written now, and they start with man's understanding, God kind of saying, "This is how you all are," and then throughout they ultimately always teach us more and turn us to the love and the peace of God. So it's each one of us can engage on this journey. It's a private. The way we're setting it up and making it available to you is we're setting it up that it's a private and intimate journey where you can learn that God is real. You can learn to hear from Him and discern His voice from all the other voices of the world, and where we can discover and walk in the wisdom and the peace backed by the creative, loving power of God Almighty. It is then possible, once we have that position and way of living in life, that we bring that peace, not our familiar chaos, understanding, and habitual ways of reacting, but we can bring that peace to others in relationship, in whom we're in relationship with. And ultimately, when we join arms and we get to a place of wisdom and commitment that our lives too can make a difference in the world, then we can spread the peace of God, the ways of God, and the love of God to the world. This process is all about having relationship, first of all, with love, with God, and then having those kind of relationships with people. So much of the time we've stopped and we've settled for just the offerings of the rituals of religion, where there is no living, live, interactive teaching God available. So there is a process, there is a way to walk through that. So as today, I invite you, as I share the Prayom, I invite you to listen through your understanding, then reach out for the heart of God's love speaking to you. A peace passing all understanding, as we typically know, is available at the end. We don't typically know is available at the end of this journey. As you get to know God's realness, his ever presence and faithfulness, you can sustain God's peace through all the storms and the challenges of life. It's not a familiar way, but it is a way that brings divine health. It brings great joy. It brings his strength in our weakness, and it brings the benefits so far beyond what man typically offers, and certainly can offer the supernatural power of God behind it all. So join me now and bask in God's love. Pray on for today. I started this yesterday, but I found it so meaty, so much of a banquet. I decided to continue it today, and I just pray that you're blessed by it too. The name of it is For You So Loved. For You So Loved. It reaches deeper than the mind can go, rings more true than the thoughts can know. It embraces us and draws it in, God's love. It goes beyond the limit of our way. Though we think we're ruler of the day, we hold tightly to the thoughts we've known till we hit the wall. Kneel, then are shown God's love. Dispelling myths requiring perfection, trying to control all without detection. A smile, sometimes plastic smile on our face, hiding the terror, avoiding surrender, resisting the bearer of love. Revealing the limits of our woulds and our shoulds, our methods of trying to empower, exchanging our efforts to limit you, Lord, for unique intent for this hour, more love. Revealing our ways as we try to replace you with things we make up, not asking if truth. Still, you take our hand in your hand, firmly turning us back towards your plan of love. We cry out loud, we're not enough. Tried all we can to strut our stuff, and yet we know inside of us there must be more. Help us to trust your love. Yes, shake us, remake us, and free us from our way, our addictions, our restrictions, and the price we pay for believing our minds can mimic your way. God, show us what only you are today, true love. Yes, so many of the things that we believe are myths, and they're myths requiring us to be perfect, requiring us to stay in control of things, requiring us to dominate others, requiring us often to learn ways of bullying others. That's not God's way, and we can understand, and we can change from that way. We often, I call it the plastic practice that we do. We walk around with a smile on our face while our hearts are breaking. This movement is about learning to be connect to the God who can heal and transform all of it, and then be able to be real and authentic as we walk through the day, learning to trust God. So we walk around the plastic faces often, trying to hide the terror, the um, insecurities, all of those things that we have deep in our heart, um, avoiding surrender. Oftentimes we haven't learned how to trust God. We don't know God, so we can't trust God. And many of the people that we've trusted have betrayed us or left us. And so we walk with this lack of trust in our life. We resist the God who is faithful and consistent and long suffering and knows all about us all the time and is merciful and graceful with us, the God of love. So as we look and we're willing to understand our own thinking and how limiting it is and how we've embraced that, we become to understand the limits of our woulds and our shoulds and our coulds and our oughtos of our methods, trying to empower how we often try to use positive thinking and many of the other methods of the mind, of man's understanding and man's ways, but it doesn't change that place of turmoil within us. It's only God that can bring us that place of love. So we exchanging using our efforts to try to limit God and don't understand that He has a unique plan an intention for our life for this hour. And that intention always is founded in true love, not the ways of man's flat and hollow words, the way that the word love is used to try to move us around and manipulate us and to suppress us. And that's not God's love. So as we are willing to engage in this kind of inquiry, our ways are revealed that we have accepted and settled for man's ways rather than the ways of God's love. We make up many things, and because when we don't know God's love, that's the only option that we have. Finally, we fall. And we realize that He's always there to reach out to, and He always turns us back to the ways of peace and love of His plan. Sometimes in the process we cry out, Lord, and we say we're not enough. Well, of course we're not enough. We only know part. And with much of the time of life we've had to act as though we have it all together and know all, and we only know a little bit compared to the almighty, omniscient, omnipresent God that knows it all the time and knows the solutions and the plans that He has for us. So what we do in the process is we try all we can to strut our stuff. We do the best that we know how to do. We don't even realize we're living out the habits and patterns that continually produce the same less than satisfying result. He offers us love. So we know deep inside, because the spark of love, the spark of God lives within us, and we do know, and we sense truth, but we haven't learned how to trust that. So as we learn to abide with God there, and we know that there's more, God Himself will teach us how to trust. He will teach us how faithful He is. He will teach us all and turn us into the fruit of the Spirit so we can learn to live a life of peace, love, and joy. Yes, He will shake us. He will remake us. He'll remold us. It's like He is the potter and we are the clay. And as we learn that's the safest and wisest place to be, we willingly bring ourselves to that place of abiding in Him. There's so many of thought addictions, physical addictions, restrictions in the ways that we think, and we pay a great price by relying on our own understanding rather than God. So we believe when we don't know the loving God and that we can abide with Him, we, excuse me again, we can only mimic God's way. We can offer what we know about love. We can offer what we know about these things, but in our understanding, they're usually so clouded. I call it the fog of man's ways. We're so clouded that we don't know how to actually walk in these ways. And we don't have to continue pretending that it's not available, because the peace of God that passes all understanding is available. And we can learn to walk in that. So God will show us what it is, that the plan that He has for each one of us, and we can, in the privacy of our time, without all the public humiliation and the shame and the guilt that the ways of the world offers, we can learn to abide in Him. The prayons that God has given me over time is the method that I have learned to engage in, and learn to understand that His hand is, His presence is there for me all the time. And each day He continues to make me into His plan for my life. It's so far from where I began, so far from where I could even believe that I could live. And so if any of this process of the journey with prayons, the peace movement ultimately is the bigger framework. If any of this interests you, you can go to our website, prayons.com. That's PRAYOEMS.com. Or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're the way that we're getting out there to begin to interact more and more with what God has put in our hearts and hands is Monday through Friday. You can meet me here at 11. I hope this has been a blessing to you, and I pray that throughout your day that you have a deeper belief and faith that you too can find this amazing God of love and live His plan in His ways, and deepen a relationship that can be a model for all your relationships in life. This is now Coach Judy signing out and offering peace and love to you this day.